Hi, my name is Emma Meredith.
I'm Jay Hansel.
Today we will be representing the Koi Koi tribe. We're the Koi Koi tribe. We are the traditionally nomadic pastoralist indigenous population of South Africa. In 1652, Dutch settlers led by Jan van Riebeck settled on the Cape to establish a refreshment station to provide fresh supplies of vegetables, fruit, and meat for the VOC ships on their way to the East Indies. Central to ensuring a stable supply of refreshments, meat was an acquisition of land to cultivate a garden and their rear livestock. However, Dutch encroachment and expansion into areas around Table Bay and beyond resulted in conflicts with us. Rising tensions over the loss of pastures between 1654 and 1659 exploded into open conflict in the First Khoi-Dutch War from 1659 to 1660. Angered by the colonists' increasing cultivation and restrictions to prime grazing land, we seized 7 of the company's draw oxen, the concept of ethnicity. As Dutch settlers continued to expand further inland, they took our land and cattle. Defeats of the war resulted in a loss of independence and pushed them into servitude, where we began to work alongside slaves and farms. We, along with our culture, was completely wiped out in a complex struggle to balance potential prosperity with cultural identity. We were also hunted like animals, dispossessed of land, imprisoned, decimated by European diseases, and ultimately pushed to the brink of extinction. The Dutch settlers justified their cruel actions with the excuse that they helped us, who were purportedly backward people, and saved them by spreading Christianity. They also said that what they did was something God had commanded. Such shameless and cruel actions by the Dutch settlers are a history that must never be repeated. Today we gather amidst the tumult of colonial expansion to voice the grievances and aspirations of the Koi Koi people, those who have long dwelled in these ancient lands. With the arrival of European settlers upon our shores, we find ourselves thrust into a struggle for survival, a struggle against the encroachment of foreign powers against our ancestral territories. In history, our people have faced trials and tribulations, grappling with a relentless advance of colonial ambitions. From the first encounters with Dutch traders to the ensuing conflicts over land and resources, we have borne witness to the erosion of our autonomy and the imposition of foreign rule upon our communities. Yet in the face of adversity, the spirit of resistance burns bright within us. We stand united in our determination to defend our way of life, to safeguard the lands passed down to us by our forebears. Through acts of defiance and solidarity, we confront injustices perpetrated against us and strive to reclaim our rightful place in this ever-changing landscape. As we convene the debate to the legacy of colonialism, let us not forget the voices of those who have been marginalized and silenced throughout history. Let us honor the struggles of our ancestors and pave the way for a future where justice, dignity, and self-determination are the birthright of all peoples. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Chris Patel.
And I'm Asher Prock.
And today, there is a problem. And the Koi Koi nomads are the root of it. In our attempt to expand our territory, the nomadic society that the Koi Koi are attempted to stop our plans of expansion by stealing 7 oxen from us. The livestock was very necessary as it provided us the ability to farm, it allowed us to plow our land, and it allowed us to establish a stronger trading outpost, which the VOC established in South Africa. If we were apparently approaching on their traditional grazing lands, as the Koi Koi stated, there shouldn't have been, what's it called?
There shouldn't have been an issue because they were a nomadic people group.
You see, the nomads, we had good relations with them at first. We traded, and even with their rough history, we still traded with them. The Koi Koi just decided to steal our oxen just because they felt like it. You see, we needed to expand because we needed the land. Our trading outpost was growing heavily. And as the trading outpost of the world, which we traded to the Americas and to Europe, we feel like we needed the land. You see, in our attempt to expand, the Koi Koi, we had really good relations with them, as I previously stated. And we never wanted a fight with them in the first place. Without us, most of Europe and Asia would suffer major loss, both economically and socially. That's it.
Hello, I'm Aaron, and I would like to ask the Dutch that were you guys aware that the Khoi Khoi had originally occupied the land, and if so, why did you colonize that specific area?
At first, we did not know that they occupied the land, as they used the land for grazing and hunting.
So they used the land, but you weren't aware that they occupied the land?
They didn't occupy it.
They were nomadic people groups, therefore they move around normally seasonally. So that what they would do is they'd have livestock in specific places. So whenever we first moved there, they were not currently in that season.
So did you guys have agreements on where to occupy, where to colonize
No.
between the two groups?
No.
So
I
we
have a
didn't talk
question
about it.
as well.
Go ahead.
So, if you see a house somewhere and they're not home, do you just enter it because?
But there were no house. There wasn't a house.
There was, you encroached on our lands.
It's a
We
nomadic
were-
people group. You don't have
It,
a
can I finish? We were culturally nomadic pastoralists, so it was our tradition for thousands of years to move around. But you just saw no one there, and so you thought it was yours. You knew people occupied that continent,
You didn't occupy. You just moved around.
so it was yours to take.
Yeah, if it was right there, why wouldn't we?
Because-
No one was there.
Because we didn't come to an agreement.
But it wasn't yours.
But
You
whenever
just-
we come back, you stole our cattle and you enslaved us. So we told you it was ours and you enslaved us. And you
didn't
made
tell
us
it was
work.
yours.
Yes, we did. Because we had
by committing theft. and
but
stealing
y'all
our
but
ox.
you even mentioned we had a trading relationship. So
We did.
you had known that we were ancestors of that area. But you decided anyways to have farms and enslave us on those farms.
No one was living there
But when we came back to occupy the land, you said, no, it's ours now.
because we established a house there. Y'all didn't have a house there, like you said before. If there's a house there, why would you come back and take it?
So you take land that's not yours.
It wasn't yours.
So when we came back and we stated it was our land.
You can't just state it. There was nothing there. It was empty.
Okay.
Okay, so knowing that the Khoi Khoi were nomadic, why were you guys so attached to the land?
Because we had religious and tribal properties for thousands of years that had like emotional ties to that land. And we had felt that it was ours, and we have like a harmonious balance with nature, so what we take out we put back in, and we feel that the Dutch were encroaching upon that, and they didn't respect these boundaries, and they didn't respect the harmony that we had with the nature.
Well, obviously, you guys are inferior.
Who told you that, God?
Yes, God did actually
Yeah,
tell us
obviously, your
that.
gods that are fake didn't bless you. I mean, your most advanced weapon is a spear.
So if you use God as your defense, God never promotes that in the Bible. You are one, taking his name in vain when you use him to excuse your horrendous actions. Two, you covet when you desperately attempt to overtake our precious lands. Three, when you murder, when you killed our nomadic kind during war. Four, when you stole our beloved oxen. Sorry. Five, you also made idols when you decided to value resources over God's word and enslaved us.
So, I want to redirect that question. Whenever you brought up murder, did you know? Oh, sorry. Whenever you bring up murder, I do have a question about that, because did your religion allow you to murder a small farm boy as he was attending to his land for absolutely no reason? An innocent little boy that you murdered. Does your religion allow that?
Yes, because we had previously y'all had taken our oxen, so there was a lot of tension during this time, and I can only speak for the majority.
So when you're
but
tense, you'll kill a little boy?
That sounds savage to me.
It sounds savage to encroach upon land and then enslave us on your farms to work day and night. That sounds savage to me. When you promote God's word as telling you to do it, after you've broken half of the 10 Commandments.
Yes, Tamaya.
Okay. So this is for the Koi Koi. Do you guys regret your actions considering the long-lasting effects of the war?
There are two perspectives. Obviously, some part of our tribe wants to say that we regret these decisions that made us attack them first. However, they cause divisions in our tribe, and there's so many divisions now, and we just wanted to preserve our cultural and tribal autonomy. So, I mean, that's a very good question. I think that could either go both ways, that we could regret it and also embrace the fact that we are protecting and trying to survive during this difficult and tense time.
I would like to add something. You talked about divisions. Did you mean that we caused those divisions? Because if I say incorrect, then those divisions were already happening. I mean, you're a nomadic people group. Many tribes, or multiple different tribes involved in the Koi Koi because they would break off and go to a different specific part of land. So are you saying that we caused that, or is that something that was already previously there?
Obviously,
Sorry, I have a question.
yes.
Who started the aggression first, like between you two?
Well, whenever it's basically allegations. So there are allegations for both sides. We allege them to steal oxen, and then they allege us to steal 7 oxen. So at the time, it's really unknown who stole from who, but we felt encroached upon because they stole our land and enslaved us, so we felt we had to attack.
So after you guys stole 7 oxen from the Dutch, how did the Dutch react?
They reacted by
Oh, sorry,
enslaving.
this is a question for the Dutch.
Okay.
Can
We
you
actually
repeat?
declared war on them, and during the meeting, that's whenever we found out that they killed a small boy. Or was it 10
Keep in mind, like, even after they did this, we still tried to make peace with them, like, but they just kept denying it.
Okay, so directly after the Koi Koi stole 7 oxen, I'm aware that you guys sent out an armed militia. Do you guys think that was necessary?
It was necessary because we needed those cattle.
I would also like to add, in the form of, actually, never mind. Basically, whenever you talk about, inferior and nomadic tribe stealing oxen from us, what does that say about not only the Dutch, but also our colony, to say that we can't even handle them? I mean, what are other countries going to think? They're going to think that we're weak and inferior. They want our wealth. The Cape colony, it was growing in wealth. I mean, we supplied some of the Silk Road. We were a major point where trade would come in. So what would that say to other countries? I mean, we had to make some sort of statement.
So
And keep
this
in mind,
was-
can I finish? Keep in mind that they had a prior history of being violent. We tolerated them even after the Battle of Salt River, which they killed 150 Spanish soldiers.
You know what you have a prior reputation as well? Your country colonized Indonesia, New Guinea, and Sri Lanka, and now us. Will the greed ever end?
I would like to bring up, whenever we're talking about violent histories, is it true that whenever the Portuguese came to trade with you, I mean, you had good relations, same as us, they came in, they were coming and bringing unseen and foreign items to you guys. You traded cattle with them. It was a deal. And you decided that you didn't like that deal, went on, came back in ambush and slaughtered the Portuguese just to get cattle back. So if we're talking about violent histories, then
Are you also going to mention the fact you have an emphasis on us killing a small boy, but we also, when we encountered the Portuguese, they kidnapped 2 of our boys. So I'm sure you could empathize with us and why we were so distraught and wanted to slaughter them. We wanted our revenge.
but that was after this offense.
This was before. This was
Whenever
before
you-
this war. This was in the 1400s.
No, I'm not talking about before we came. I'm talking about whenever you slaughtered the Portuguese. That was before the little boy. The boys got kidnapped. This was early on in the It was early on in the colonization of Portuguese.
David, question?
All right. I'm a reporter from New York Times. And Koi Koi, what was the value of the cattle or the oxen?
I mean, considering we were nomadic pastoralists, this was our livelihood. Like, we brought these cattle around, and we used them for resources, and so they were like of a lot of significance to us because it provided us with not only food, but also we held a lot of like importance because, as I've mentioned before, we had like balance in nature, and so we didn't just like only slaughter the cattle. We also we not worship them, but we all like respected them, and like they were a symbol of our tribal and like cultural ties to that land.
And plus, we didn't kill them. We milked them for our food. Our meat wasn't our prior food, and it was the milks from their cattle we.
So is that why
Wait,
you?
Can I say something?
Okay.
Wouldn't you consider that the cattle are also our livelihood too?
I mean, yeah.
Then why would that make you justify to steal them?
There were allegations that y'all stole from us too.
But we didn't. We had
But-
trading
but I can
relationships.
say we didn't.
See, the thing is,
It's
though,
an
it's
allegations,
allegations. No,
both
Yeah, it's
ways.
allegations.
7 auctions.
Yeah, so we can allege y'all, but is it really known that we stole who stole from who? No, it's just the
Well, we
fact
know that you
y'all
stole the 7
encouraged-
oxen.
Okay, so there's been lots of talk about stealing and aggression, but has there been any attempts of establishing peace?
Yes. Yes.
No, they
No.
weren't. Well, so.
Yes, there was.
So,
Throughout this conflict that
read the order.
Can I speak?
The planting of bitter almond trees, brambles on thorn bushes as boundaries along farms to keep Koi Koi cattle out of the company's own land. So they claimed the land was theirs. They didn't have any permission to control the land and plant the trees to keep our cattle from the farm. So.
Okay, so the Dutch, what is your side on this? When
So-
you say peace, what do you mean?
So
by
in the
that?
1660s, we wanted to conclude a treaty. Both of our parties agreed that neither of us would attack each other, neither would steal from each other in the future. And even after this conflict, we attempted to make peace with them. Like, you may think that we're bloodthirsty, but we really tried. We really didn't want to fight this. Yes, Tamaya.
I also, sorry. Okay, so I've heard that you guys brought diseases once you immigrated over there or whatever. Do you not see like how the Koi Koi feels about it? Like, have you not seen their intentions?
I mean, how can we control a disease that's spread that doesn't affect us? I
By
mean,
not coming and encroaching upon our lands, that's how you can prevent
But the
that.
thing is, you guys were gone, as we discussed before, so.
But
if
did you
there's-
not recognize it was a different continent? Like, it doesn't belong to you.
Well, if you go
Those
to the
ideas didn't
continent and there's
exist
no one
before.
there, is it not the right to claim? I mean, it's.
No.
If no one's there to
And y'all were
claim,
trading with us fine before. If disease was really a problem, y'all wouldn't trade with us.
You
We
would, You
didn't-
would break off that contact.
It's not like we could have seen the disease in the air. We didn't
Well, I
know
mean,
until
neither-
people
But
were
wouldn't
dying.
have people
Neither
gotten
can
sick?
we.
Yes, and that's whenever we started getting frustrated, and then there were tensions that arose. We didn't see
So the
disease
tensions
floating.
rose because you
But
got
we
sick.
we can't also see the disease. If anything,
But
you
you-
guys are, it's easier for you guys because we don't know anything about the disease. We faced that in the past, that's why our bodies are accustomed to that.
But you've
So they don't
also,
affect us, so how would we even know that we're carrying diseases?
you would know because, as I've said before, you've conquered Indonesia, New Guinea, and Sri Lanka, and you saw those also indigenous tribes dying, so maybe you would get a hint, oh, like, we're the problem.
How
People
would
are
have we
dying.
known? We wouldn't have known. It
Your
could have been their
country.
disease.
Your country,
What do you mean
Whenever-
our country?
Dutch, the VOC company.
You mean the disease?
You would have, yes, you would have known about the disease because you've conquered other places and you've established your your colonizations in different parts of the world. So you would have seen the common denominator that repeats itself over and over and over again, which is people dying whenever you show up.
Right, so this is for the Dutch. Are you guys not aware of the existence of smallpox?
Well, we were, but we're so we just have a great resistance to it, and we didn't know that the other people would have like such a less resistance to it.
I
We
mean, there
didn't
was
know.
no known information. We
Yeah.
didn't even know that they were there.
We didn't
So
even
how
know
would we know
what
that they're
you
not?
guys-
viruses were.
Well, I mean, obviously, but if you think about it, we obviously knew about the smallpox because it happened, but at the same time, we're immune to it. So why would we not assume that the rest of the world, who we think also underwent smallpox, is not immune to it as well? How would we
Wait,
know?
so
It was a
you're
le-
just gonna
this
assume
information didn't exist back
colonization?
then.
So you guys, were you not aware of the disease and how it affected the Koi Koi?
We were not aware of how it affected the Koi Koi
We were aware of the
because
disease.
we were aware of the disease, but we didn't know how weak they were against the disease.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
All right. Earlier, you said how the Koi Koi were inferior to y'all.
Yes.
But you also try to make peace. So. did
Yeah, that's
you-
our way of showing sympathy.
But did you respect the Koi Koi?
Yes, we traded with them basically every
I
day.
have something to say. I don't think that you showed any respect for us considering Your own leader that led you to invade our land describes the Khoi Khoi as of inferior intellect and culture and a dull, stupid, lazy, stinking nation.
Well, obviously,
That does not sound like
you guys
respect.
are nomadic. Yet once again, going back to y'all's technology, I mean, you talk about some of like your gods and the things you worship. They obviously have not blessed you. I mean, we're blessed by God. We have a developed country, as you brought up the multiple times that we've colonized. When have you ever done that? We're far more advanced.
Yeah.
We're far more superior.
It's a question of respect. Are you going to say you respect
We
us or
respected
not?
you because
That statement
even
shows
after-
no respect.
So you say you were blessed by God, right? So if you're blessed by God, right, so you can kill people. The 10th Commandment literally says you shall not murder.
You shall not covet. You shall not steal. You shall not use his name in vain. You use his name in vain when you say, oh, God gave us a divine right to invade, to kill, to enslave. No, never said that. I think
Does your God
I think
give you
we
the
just-
divine right to steal?
We don't have a God. We have tribal.
Is it because you're savages?
Is it a savage because we have a different religion? I don't think so. I think that's called different cultures, and you just weren't informed, and you wanted to implement all of your values on us.
Well, obviously, if we have the key to everlasting life and the things that our religion believes in, Christianity, in the form of Christianity, why would we not want to spread that to you guys? We're helping.
So you-
Yeah, we attempted to help you. We traded weapons with you. We traded everything. Yeah, we used our God-given right that gave us better technology, and we traded that technology to y'all too.
Just because you view it as better, though, we never had that. We didn't know, like, if we don't have a knife, that's bad. Like, we had no knowledge of this. So for you to come and act like we're, like, superior, we never asked for you to inform us. It would be different if our tribe asked you, hey, we need help. We need y'all to spread God's glory. No, we never asked for that. You just did it on your own accord.
Once again, if we knew
I
and the
understand
key to
God,
success
yes.
is spreading that, then why would we not want to if that's what our religion tells
Because
us
you
to
can't implement your religion on people that do not abide by that religion. It's not your place.
I have
God
a
never
question.
says that in the Bible.
Okay, this is for the Dutch. The way you described the Khoi Khoi, was enslaving the Khoi Khoi really necessary after the Second War?
Well, I really think that they shouldn't have stolen in the first place. But enslaving them, that's a question up for debate. I think that there is a right and wrong. Like, the right part of it, you wanted to make like a point that you shouldn't like steal with us, even after we had good relationships. The bad side is obviously enslaving them and making them work for us. But that is a question up for debate.
So first, the only reason we stole 7 cattle, oxen, was y'all kept pushing us to the north. Y'all kept taking our land and prevent it from going back to the land.
So y'all didn't talk with us? Y'all just
I do. Whenever you say, I keep getting confused whenever you say, your land. Once again, going back to a nomadic people group, they're known for moving around. You don't have a specific land. There's lands that you visit seasonally where you go for cattle and stuff like that. But whenever you say your land, I mean, if you have no boundaries, you have nothing set in place to tell you, hey, this is your land.
Yeah, it doesn't.
How are
You
we
don't have
supposed to know
stakes.
that? You can't accuse us of something that we don't have knowledge of. It's the same thing with the smallpox.
You said previously that you felt as if we were inferior and we didn't have the technologies. So maybe that would give you an idea to how we didn't know what nation states were. We didn't have this. So like obviously we didn't have a line drawn out where our country is for you to know.
Exactly. That means
Also,
you're
we use
inferior and
that land
savage, but you
for-
can't. I mean,
It means
yeah,
we're
y'all could have
inferior
built a
and
house.
savage.
Going back to your house, y'all could have built a house there. It doesn't take the
So
smartest person in the
different-
world to build
so
a house
because
there.
we're different, we're savages.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay. So this is for the Koi Koi.
Mhm.
How were the relationships like between the tribes?
Between our tribes?
Yes.
Yeah, some of the tribes went to the Dutch side, and some of the tribe was on our side, and it was division because of the Dutch came. 'Cause
Some of them wanted to get in, like, their foot in the door, and, like, they didn't want to be murdered and killed and slaughtered, so they felt that they should be proactive and maybe, like, get in good graces with the Dutch. And then this frustrated the other, like, opposing Khoi Khoi side because they wanted to, like, preserve our culture.
and some of the tribe helped on the war for Dutch.
And this is what we previously stated. There were divisions within our tribe, and we feel as if we've been marginalized and subjugated to colonization from the Dutch.
I also think there's another reason that some of those tribes came to us. So the divisions between the Khoi Khoi were not very united. Sometimes they even killed each other. Sometimes, like, they didn't want to fight with each other, so they came to us too, like, as just another reason for them to come to us. And they came to us because we're just economically superior. And we just have better technology and
Because
stuff.
maybe you're economically superior because you have everlasting
It's because God
greed.
gave it to us.
Is God going to be your defense for everything?
I have a question for the Dutch. Why did
Go
you
ahead.
prioritize economic benefits over peace
Because as the Dutch East India Company, we were a trading outpost for most of the world. We traded basically everything, and just to expand our land just helps us establish more power and establish a stronger trading outpost.
We not only help, like money, wealth. I mean, the main trading route, Asia and Europe, it supplied urban Asia with multiple needed resources. I mean, without us, it would be difficult. The reason that we're normally we're the Euro country.
How did you let your relationship with God or like religion affect your relationship with people?
Well, our religion just like, we were superior, and we did try to attempt to help them. You wanna- We were trading. We were fine. It wasn't your land. It wasn't your land.
Actually,
Over 1,000 years.
Actually, whenever Bartholomew Diaz rounded the Cape, he had stated, or a historian stated that the land had already been established at the southern tip of the continent for over 1,000 years.
But there was no markings there.
So
I mean,
we go to Dutch. There's no market.
so if y'all have a pasture or something and we see nobody there, oh, it's ours. No, that's not how it works.
But we may dispute the
It's
land.
implied that different continents have different tribes that live upon them, and I think y'all had prior knowledge of this because whenever you found like the Silk Road or whatever in India, you knew that there were people there, but you still colonized it anyways. It doesn't matter if we weren't there. You've been to other continents. Your past has shown that you have little to no empathy for these tribes, and you encroach either way. If we were there, you would have encroached. If we weren't there, you would have encroached.
But you weren't there. How could you say that we would encroach?
Why do you?
Because
have
you
a
encroached
permission.
upon India, Sri Lanka, and New Guinea.
But this is
Your
you.
past
This is you-
determines.
This is
No.
about you.
This is now.
Yeah,
This is now.
but your reputation has a lot about your decisions that you made upon us. It's crucial.
Question?
So, religion's a big part of Dutch's nation. So, did you ever try to push your religion?
We did, because we tried to help them out. Obviously, we were the superior people. So if we wanted to help other people, like, get on our level, I think that's just a nice thing to do.
Superior this, superior that. Do you think they really needed your help?
I do. They
Why
still
is that?
had stone spears. So we just wanted to give y'all a better way to live.
I don't think it was a problem before you guys came around and approached on their
But it
land.
was a problem because even the Koi Koi tribes, they killed each other.
It might be a
Because-
problem for
because-
your perspective.
I mean, if you really look at it, there was colonization going all over the world. So even if we didn't come, another they might not have traded.
Yeah, given your
Okay,
past
so
history, we
since
might have
everyone
considered.
else does it, it's okay.
No, that's not what I'm saying. But let me finish. So in the Western Hemisphere, let's say Spain, look what they did to the Native Americans all over North America and South America. I mean, they slaughtered. We didn't come in and slaughter you guys. We had trade relationships. We had peace. How do you know that another country wouldn't? So it's obviously.
Okay.
Either way.
The Dutch.
Closing. You see, today the Koi Koi had no right to steal our oxen. You see, as we had prior trade relationships and a good relationship, we don't feel the need that they shouldn't have just stolen our oxen. They killed the boy during the war, which was not a good thing. But Also, they stole our oxen, and they try to make us look weak and capable. They're also inferior to us, and they have no right to act the way that they did. They have a savage and violent history of slaughtering innocent people. And even though we tolerated them, they shouldn't have stolen it in the first place. We could have been next, honestly. That was not what they claimed it. But it's an act of survival and justice in the
The Dutch settlers' attempt to whitewash their atrocities against our people during the First and Second Khoi Khoi Wars is an insult to our collective memory and suffering. Let's set the record straight. The Dutch didn't just misunderstand us. They deliberately trampled over our rights, seized our lands, and subjected us to unimaginable suffering. They stole our cattle, our livelihoods, and our dignity, all in the name of their insatiable greed for power and profit. To suggest that we were divided or complicit in our own oppression is not only ignorant, but downright offensive. Yes, we may have had differences among our communities, but make no mistake, when it came to defending our homes and way of life, we stood united against the Dutch invaders. And let's not sugarcoat it. The Dutch didn't come seeking peaceful coexistence. They came with guns, disease, and a voracious appetite for domination. They saw us as nothing more than obstacles to be overcome, resources to be exploited, and bodies to be enslaved. So don't you dare try to spin this as some petty squabble over misunderstandings. The Khoi Khoi Wars were a righteous struggle for justice, for freedom, for the very survival of our people in the face of colonial aggression. And we will never forget nor forgive the atrocities committed against us in the name of Dutch imperialism.
May I have a rebuttal?